Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unfound Podcast Channel. On YouTube, I'm, of course, Unfound's host, Ed Densel. I apologize. I had posted this video earlier today, which is what is today, July 17th, and for some reason, there was no sound. I don't know. It was fine when I did it, and then I don't know I just don't know what happened. But I've tested it, and so I'm thinking that you're going to hear sound for this video. So, and I apologize for that. And for everybody who immediately told me there was no sound, shout out to you. Thank you for letting me know as quickly as you did. I really appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the heads up. So, as the title suggests, this is a map video, a map analysis for the disappearance of Anthony Reyes. This is an episode that came out on July 18th of 2025. As you are watching, please give this video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to this channel. If you are not yet a subscriber, tell your friends and neighbors about this channel. I would appreciate that as well. If you'd like to support what we do here on YouTube and everywhere else, hit the join button below, or as you can see on the screen, support Unfound at patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. All right, so let's take a look at the map for the disappearance of Anthony Reyes. Let's pull this up. Okay. So what you're seeing here is Bayville, New Jersey. The little red dot there at the bottom of the screen is where Anthony lived with his wife and their children. As you heard in the interview, it was actually his mother, Barbara, who owned the house and the property. And then this blue line I used, I'm going to move this over just a little bit to the right there. That is where Barbara picked up Anthony earlier that day on June 28th of 2024. So remember, he went out for a walk in the afternoon. Barbara went and picked him up, brought him home. They were there for a while. Then around 7:30, Barbara left. She came back about a half hour later, and Anthony was not there, never to be seen again. So I want to zoom out and show you the surrounding area. And what's going to, of course, catch your attention very quickly is how close the water is to where they live. Now, this is Barnegat Bay right in here. This is where the blue is, the lighter blue. That is actually the Atlantic Ocean. Then you have this barrier island out here. And then Barnegat Bay, I think that's what it's called. And then right here at the red dot, that is where Anthony and his wife and their children lived. You can see by the key down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, less than a mile as the crow flies, so directly straight, less than a mile from the water. So we're right here to the red dot, to right out here, less than a mile. To walk it, yes, more than a mile. You'd have to go up here, maybe the most direct route. Go up here, what is this, Butler Boulevard, and then take a right, go out here. Certainly walking it more than a mile, but as the crow flies, less than a mile. What you're also seeing here is, yes, there's a lot of gray here, meaning civilization, I guess we might call it. Houses, pavement, parking lots, businesses around this area. I got to say, lots of trees and wooded area as well. And in fact, in the interview, you heard Barbara talk about, being that this is her property, she knew it well, that she owned a lot of this property back behind the house. And you can see it's pretty wooded. I think she said, what did she say? Something like 4 acres. Not the largest property ever, but certainly not small. And so could Anthony have walked back there? Sure. It was searched, but as we've learned the hard way, a lot of times searches miss the people that the searchers are looking for. But in zooming back out, I think what is noteworthy here about at least the walk that Anthony took earlier that day is going up to this location. And what Barbara says in the interview is at the intersection of Route 9, which is where the blue line is, and Station Road, which comes over here. She picked him up right around here. This, it's saying 670 Atlantic City Boulevard. Somewhere in that area is where she picked him up. Now, what you notice is that Anthony walked past all of these buildings going up this direction that day. During the day, I didn't check the weather for the day, but surely there were people going up and down this street. Surely at least some of these buildings had people in them, and he's walking right by all of them. So it wasn't like he was walking to get away from people necessarily or wanted to take some nature walk. He's right out here on the pavement. And we even heard not long before he was admitted to the hospital in May of 2024 that there were reports not only was he walking out there on the street, but he was walking in the middle of the street. So let's take a look at that. But one more thing, we have to notice that from where he lived to approximately where Barbara picked him up earlier that day, a little over a mile, 1.2 miles, 3 minutes if you're driving. Let me go over here. If you're walking it, less than a half hour, at least average at 3 miles an hour. Maybe Anthony did it faster. Maybe he did it slower. I don't know if there's any way to know that, but distance-wise, 1.2 miles. So let's go down and take a look at the street view now. So this is the house where they lived. This is a picture from June of 2022. So I'm going to say it's fairly representative of what it looked like in 2024. I mean, what you notice very quickly, this is June of 2022, so exactly 2 years before he went missing. What you see is a lot of green here in the state of New Jersey. And just as an example, to show you how hard it would be to search for someone, this is just an example. Anthony's remains body could be in these bushes right here, and there's no way, except the only way to really tell is to actually go into those bushes, start pulling the limbs away and looking. You can't just drive down, for example, this street, up one way, back the other, craning your neck each way, and do a good search. I'm not saying that was done. I'm hoping the people involved were very complete. In fact, we heard about ATVs and drones and everything else. But if you're riding down here in an ATV, if there's a body in these woods, you're never going to see it. You're going to have to get off your ATV and walk in there and get scraped up and whatever else to really check this area the way it should be checked. We need to remember that. So even in a little suburb, subdivision, not really that rural of an area, you can see even just along the street right here how difficult this could be to find somebody, especially if the person is hiding, if the person thinks that somebody's chasing him, like Anthony did, thought people were after him. Even in this clump of bushes right here, you could drive by it and you could be looking for him. But the only way to really search just this little area that's right on screen right here is to go into those bushes. And that's why so many missing people are missed, forgive the pun, when searches are done. So that is one of and we're not even far off the street. I mean, going back to the satellite view, I mean, I was just going along this little piece of stretch right in here. We're not even talking about way back in here somewhere that he could have gone. He certainly could have. It's just on and on. I just keep saying this. I know I've been saying this for years now, that this is one of the reasons that searches fail. Now, as far as out on that main street, we'll take the little orange guy and put him down here. This is the main street. I think this is the road where they said that somebody witnessed Anthony walking right in the middle of the road. Well, here's the double yellow line. I mean, dangerous. What we also notice here is this is the way he would have walked that day where Barbara eventually picked him up. What do we see? We don't see any sidewalk. He was walking right along the road. So when it comes to his disappearance, we have to be open to the idea, even though I'm not usually of this mind. I think it's fairly rare. But if we're going to hear that he was walking out in the middle of the road, then we have to entertain the idea that did he get hit by a car? And maybe did not necessarily automatically kill him, but did it knock him, and did he stumble into these bushes? Once again, it's just as good an example as back by where his house was. If he gets hit on this road, stumbles into these bushes, you have to go into those bushes right there on the screen to go find anything. You'd have to, to search those bushes properly for a person, you have to go in there. And I'm telling you, searchers don't do that. But as I stated earlier in this video, this is how he would have been walking that day, eventually to the spot where Barbara picked him up. And so we have to be open to the idea, if we're open to the idea that he actually went for a walk, how many of these places were open, and why is it that we have no witnesses to any of this? And I think you can understand, looking at both the satellite view and the satellite view and the street view, like Barbara said, fairly well-traveled area. You can look at that Route 19 and say, yeah, it looks like a busy street. Look at all the buildings on it. I mean, we zoom it out. I mean, it goes over to this bridge, and look how industrialized it is down here. Why didn't even one person see him? Because we did get stories, or they got stories, and we heard about him, that he was out there. Somebody saw him out there walking in the middle of the road. And seemingly Barbara and his wife and everybody else believed it. So there were people out there who were like, I saw this guy, and reported it. Why wasn't that done for the evening that he went missing? Hard to know. As far as him walking this direction, could he have gone over to the water? Sure, he could have. Still same question. Why didn't anybody see him? And if you're wondering, well, what is this? What is this area right here on the edge? Those are all houses. That's not a marina or anything. Those are actually houses. Would have had to have, this is all lined with homes until you get down here. So this is where he was. And then he wasn't there. No reports of anybody seeing him on a Route 9 that night. Nobody reporting anything. I don't know how this road right here is. Well, it's traveled. Nobody reported seeing him there. But you can tell that the searchers would really have their hands full with a situation like this. I think that's about it for this video. And he could have walked a lot of different places. Might have even gone down here. You can see that, is this a bridge or something like that? Maybe it just looked like that. It's not a bridge. But you got a lot of water. You got a lot of forests, woods, even bushes right along the road. He could have stumbled into one of them and not been found. It's difficult. It's difficult. And like I said in the episode, just for analytical reasons, we also have to entertain the idea that maybe he did not disappear on his own for analytical reasons only, because there are no facts to undermine that idea. It's probably unlikely, but we still have to think about it. So there you go. That is the map analysis for the disappearance of Anthony Reyes. And I want to state one more time, my understanding is this like wooded area was searched, but we know that's a pretty large area, and to think they went over every square foot of it, probably that's not a reasonable assumption. And what we also have to keep in mind is look at all the private property here, and we know about the stories of private property not being searched, and then a body is found on that private property years later. Got a lot of private property here with some landowners that might have not allowed searchers to go on their land, who I understand the reasoning, but it'd be nice if they were at least a little lenient. So that also would complicate searching for Anthony in this area. All right, that's all I have. I think the audio worked fine this time. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you again very soon.